Bold and the Beautiful twist Thomas. Scorned by Paris Carter woo her away. Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Bold and the Beautiful. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before starting the video, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button and give this video a like up. Bold and the Beautiful has Paris Buckingham realizing that Thomas Forrester's baggage accumulates as Carter Walton enters the picture on the CBS soap. Sure, Carter is the family's go-to marriage facilitator, but Thomas and Paris haven't set the date yet, so his appearance on the show may work to entice the bride to be away from her pending groom. Bold and the Beautiful spoilers. Thomas Forrester's baggage piles high. Thomas Forrester Matthew Atkinson made a fake proposal to Hope Logan Anaka Knoll, but she said no, which is what Thomas thought she would say. His explanation was he wanted to prove a point to her, and the point he makes despite knowing he's about to marry someone else. Her love for him isn't enough to say yes to his marriage proposal. She would rather lose him, so Thomas Forrester is now playing games with Hope, although Paris Buckingham Diamond White isn't aware of this yet. But Bold and the Beautiful spoilers suggest she soon has reason to worry about Thomas. He jumps in to defend Hope Logan whenever Paris Buckingham mentioned something negative about her attitude. Fans saw this earlier this week when Perry suggested the Logan daughter plays the victim. As she mentioned this to Thomas, he cut her off and turned it around. She's just blindsided by their plans to marry, was the excuse he offered for Hope's behavior, while her future in-laws seemed to warm up to the idea of this quick marriage. Paris still feels the chill coming off the land side of the family on Bold and the Beautiful, so loving Thomas won't be easy for Paris Buckingham. Next, a power struggle likely flares up between Hope and Paris over mom duties for Douglas Forrester. Henry Joseph Sommer B and BB spoilers. Carter Walton not hanging around for nothing. It wasn't that long ago when Paris Buckingham stood at the altar with Carter Walton. Lawrence is Victor, but she became the scorned bride when Carter's true love for the moment burst in Quinn Fuller. Rhianna Sofer stopped the wedding only to up and leave Carter without warning soon. After one thing Bold and the Beautiful viewers learned about Carter Walton in the past is that he's a good listener. But another thing we learned is that when women married or not come to him with a confidential problem, he somehow ends up in bed with them. So Paris has a problem, and very soon it gets too heavy for her to carry alone. Bold and Beautiful spoilers promise a twist, so if Paris confides in Carter, he likely built her up to the point where she becomes hot to trot for her old flame. B and B viewers surmised Paris Buckingham getting dumped by Thomas Forrester. They thought as soon as he gazed into Hope's eyes that would be it, but no, so far he's stuck by Paris Buckingham. Still, this could change if Carter Walton works his magic. Bold in the Beautiful spoilers. Paris Buckingham goes for less baggage. It's just a matter of time before Paris finds herself knocking on Carter's door with her woe about feeling like Thomas Forrester's second choice. While Hope might back off a bit on trying to halt the looming wedding, she won't back off her mom duties with Douglas. This could present a huge problem, and it likely brings Paris to Carter's shoulder for a good cry. Despite Thomas Forrester sticking by his choice to marry her, Paris Buckingham likely gets perturbed over his tendency to take her rival side. Thomas had Douglas calling Paris mom when they first arrived back on Bold and the Beautiful, but suddenly he calls him her stepson, as if he's fixing this for Hope. So it's becoming more obvious that a bumpy road lies ahead for Thomas and Paris, and it's likely she finally realizes that despite the Forrester son giving it his best try, she will always be second best. The only reason Hope Logan is not his bride-to-be is that she refused him, and complaining about this to Carter Walton is likely in the cards, so wait for that seductive background music to swell up with Carter Walton and the confused pending bride in the same room. All the clues seem to point to Thomas Forrester and how he likely ends up the scorned groom on the CBS soap. Thomas Forrester stood by the large window of his office at Forrester Creations, staring out at the Los Angeles skyline. The sun was setting, casting a golden hue over the city, but Thomas's thoughts were far from serene. His mind raced with frustration and regret as he reflected on his tumultuous relationship with Paris Buckingham Paris had been a breath of fresh air in his life for positivity and energy. Had Durr drawn him in, and for a time, it seemed like they were destined to be together. However, Thomas's obsessive tendencies and controlling behavior had driven a wedge between them. Despite his genuine feelings for Paris, his actions had only caused her pain and pushed her away. Thomas clenched his fists, anger bubbling within him. He had tried to change to become a better man for Paris. But it seemed like every step forward was met with two steps back. The final straw came when Paris discovered that Thomas had been manipulating situations behind her back, trying to control her decisions and her life. She had confronted him, her eyes filled with hurt and betrayal, and ended their relationship on the spot. Now Thomas was left alone, consumed by his own demons. He knew he had to find a way to move on, but the thought of Paris with someone else was unbearable. Little did he know his worst fears were about to be realized. Paris Buckingham had always been resilient, but her breakup with Thomas had left her feeling vulnerable and uncertain. She had fallen for Thomas's charm and charisma, but his darker side had ultimately driven her away. Now she was determined to focus on herself and her career at Forrester Creations. As Paris threw herself into her work, she found solace in the creative process, designing new fashion lines and working with the talented team at Forrester Creations gave her a sense of purpose and direction. However, despite her best efforts, she couldn't completely shake off the lingering feelings for Thomas. One day, while working late at the office, Paris encountered Carter Walton. Carter was the chief operating officer of Forrester Creations, and he had always been a supportive and understanding presence in her life. They had become friends over the past few months, often sharing lunch breaks and discussing the exhaustion in Paris's eyes, and approached her with a warm smile. "Hey, Paris, burning the midnight oil again?" Paris looked up from her sketches and returned his smile. "Yeah, I guess I just needed a distraction. There's a lot on my mind." Carter sat down next to her. "He's been through a lot lately. If you ever need to talk or just take a break, I'm here for you." Paris felt a wave of gratitude wash over her. "Thanks, Carter. That means a lot." As the weeks went by, Paris and Carter's friendship deepened. They spent more time together, both in and out of the office. Carter's kindness and genuine interest in her well-being were a welcome contrast to the turmoil she had experienced with Thomas. Slowly but surely, Paris found herself drawn to Carter in ways she hadn't expected. Carter Walton had always admired Paris from afar. Her vibrant personality and unwavering determination had captivated him from the moment they met. As they grew closer, Carter's feelings for Paris evolved from friendship to something deeper. He knew he had to be careful given her recent breakup with Thomas, but he couldn't deny the growing connection between them. One evening, after a particularly long day at the office, Carter invited Paris to dinner. They went to a cozy restaurant downtown, away from the hustle and bustle of about their dreams, their fears, and their pasts. The conversation flowed effortlessly, and Carter felt the sense of ease he hadn't experienced in a long time. As the night went on, Carter decided to take a chance. "Paris, I've really enjoyed getting to know you better these past few months. You're an incredible person, and I care about you a lot." Paris looked at him, her heart racing. "I care about you too, Carter. You've been such a good friend to me." Carter took a deep breath, his eyes locking with hers. "I know you've been hurt before, and I don't want to rush anything, but I also don't want to hide my feelings. I think there could be something special between us, if you're open to it." Paris's mind whirled with conflict emotions. She had grown to trust Carter, and she couldn't deny the attraction she felt, but the scars from her relationship with Thomas were still fresh, and she was afraid of getting hurt. "Again, I appreciate your honesty, Carter," Paris said softly. "I just need some time to think. This is all a lot to process." Carter nodded, understanding her hesitation. "Take all the time you need, Paris. I'll be here, no matter what you decide." Meanwhile, Thomas Forrester was struggling to come to terms with his actions. He knew he had driven Paris away with his obsessive behavior, and the realization filled him with regret. He had always prided himself on being in control, but now he felt powerless and lost. Thomas began to reflect on his past relationships and the patterns that had emerged. He saw how his need for control had damaged not only his relationship with Paris, but also with others in life. Determined to break the cycle, Thomas sought professional help attending therapy sessions to address his issues as Thomas worked on himself. He couldn't stop thinking about Paris. He wanted to make amends to show her that he was changing for the better, but he also knew that he had to respect her space and give her the time she needed one day while visiting Forrester Creations. Thomas he shot through him, but he pushed it aside, realizing that Paris deserved happiness. Even if it wasn't with him, Thomas knew that he had to let go of his past mistakes and focus on his own growth. It was a painful realization, but it was necessary for him to move forward. Chapter 5: Paris's decision. As the days turned into weeks, Paris found herself thinking more and more about Carter. His kindness and patience had touched her deeply, and she couldn't ignore the feelings that were blossoming within her. But she also knew that she needed to be sure of her decision before taking any steps forward. One evening, Paris decided to visit Carter at his apartment. She needed to have an honest conversation with him to clear the air and understand her own feelings. When Carter opened the door, he was surprised to see Paris standing there, her expression serious. "Paris, come in," he said, stepping aside to let her enter. Paris took a deep breath and sat down on the couch. "Carter, I've been doing a lot of thinking about us, about my past, about everything." Carter sat down next to her, his heart pounding. "And what have you decided?" Paris looked into his eyes, her own filled with determination. "I've decided that I want to give this a chance. You've been nothing but kind and supportive, and I feel something special between us, but I need to take things slow. I don't want to rush into anything and end up getting hurt again." Carter's face lit up with a smile. "Paris, I understand completely. We'll take things at your pace. I just want you to be happy." Paris felt a wave of relief wash over her. She had made her decision, and it felt right. She knew that the road ahead wouldn't be easy, but she was ready to face it. With Carter by her side, Chapter 6 anew. Beginning with her decision made, Paris felt a renewed sense of hope and excitement. She and Carter began spending more time together, enjoying each other's company and building a strong foundation for their relationship. They went on dates, shared their dreams, and supported each other in their careers. Thomas continued his journey of self-improvement. He focused on his therapy and his work, determined to become a better person. He still cared deeply for Paris, but he knew that he had to let her go and respect her new relationship with Carter. One day, Thomas decided to reach out to Paris. He wanted to apologize for his past behavior and wish her well. He knew it was the right thing to do, even if it was painful. Thomas met Paris at a cafe, his heart heavy with a mix of emotions. "Paris, I wanted to see you to apologize for everything. I know I hurt you, and I'm truly sorry. I've been working on myself, and I hope you can find it in your heart to forgive me." Paris looked at Thomas, her expression softening. "Thomas, I appreciate your apology. I can see that you're trying to change, and I respect that. I've moved on, and I'm happy with Carter, but I wish you the best on your journey." Thomas nodded, a sense of closure washing over him. "Thank you, Paris. I wish you all the happiness in the world." Chapter 7: The rivalry. As Paris and Carter's relationship blossomed, they faced new challenges and obstacles. One of the biggest hurdles was the rivalry between Carter and Thomas. While Thomas had made peace with Paris's decision, his competitive nature and lingering feelings created tension between him and Carter. The tension came to a head one day